Hey Chris, can you take a look at my short film screenplay and critique it? Sure I can, Connor. I'm gonna hit this script hard and focus on 3 crucial points. If you can master these simple points, you will level up your writing. I shot my first feature and have worked with people like Sean Hannity and Jamie Kennedy. Now I help others figure it out. Let's go. Hey, it's me. Is it okay if I sit this close to the camera today? I'm working on being comfortable with intimacy with my YouTube family. Yeah? Do you like reading other people's screenplays? I know I do. There's a ton of creative people in the world, and I don't run into enough of them if you ask me. Every time I read someone else's work, it inspires me. I'm sure you're wondering, where's Bruno today? He lost a bet, and I needed an ottoman for my feet. Doing all right down there?
Screw you.
So, short films can be a 3-act structure. I made a short film called The Covet, and it's somewhat abbreviated. But since I'm reviewing a short film script today, I wanted to chat a bit about story structure based on the time constraints. You would think a shorter film would be easier to write, but it's actually harder unless you're making an art house film.
What a story, Mark.
The script I'm breaking down today is called Apocalyptic Logs Bitten, written by Connor Farrell. I will be skipping around this story a bit so that I don't give away everything that he wrote since it's not my story. I'll just hit all the high points. Hey, oh, and by the way, thanks Connor for letting me review this on the channel. I did ask for permission. If you have a script that you would like for me to review here in YouTube land, send it to me via email. Okay, so let's look at the story through the lens of a basic 3-act structure. Connor chooses to drop us straight into the unknown world, bypassing any old world setup, which I kind of like. Hey Bruno, can you read the script for this portion of today's episode?
Do I have a choice?
Not in the slightest.
Dale, a young man, barely 20, is standing in the clearing of a forest. He trembles as does the gun in his hand. Just a few feet away is a monster. Green slime oozing out of his body. Dale brings the gun up. The monster charges. Something tackles Dale from the side. Dale is yanked from the ground by Val, his older brother, carrying a bag of supplies.
So number 1, story structure. What is this world? Why are there monsters? How did we get here? Who knows? But I would argue that in today's attention deficit culture, these kinds of stories do have a place. It could be argued that the first action of Dale hiding from the monster could be the inciting incident, or normalcy is being disrupted. He decides to face the monster, taking us straight into the second act, or the rising action to the climax. Later, there is some exposition in the form of the characters putting pieces together from an experience that happens prior to the beginning of the story, so we aren't totally in the dark. Bruno.
Val coughs and hunches over. Dale leads him to the tree and leans him against it. Oh, something's wrong. Well, there's a chunk out of your arm. I say that's not fantastic. No, I mean something else. What do we know about them? Just what we saw when we passed through the village. People devoured. Not all of them though. Some just had a few bites, right? Yeah, what are you getting at?
Number 2, character development. We don't know much about Val and Dale in the story. And sometimes when you don't know much about a character, it's difficult to care about what happens to them, right? I tend to disagree with this viewpoint to a degree. If the scenes are visceral enough, then you can at least feel their pain in the moment, like this scene. This is concise character development, and I absolutely love it. We don't need endless dialogue exposition to do this. It is a great example of show don't tell. It shows Val is loyal and thinks of others, even in an apocalypse, when most everyone would be thinking of saving their own skin. So there's more to this story, but I'm going to stop there out of respect for this man's work. Okay, number 1, think about enhancing the location. I'd pick a spot like a bus junkyard to film in rather than just woods. Remember, your frame is only as interesting as what is in front of the camera. The decaying buses would fit the world perfectly, and you would have potential set pieces to film dialogue in. So dialogue is the easiest way to lose your audience if it's plain and boring. So this kind of locale shouldn't be hard to find, and most people will let you film for free if it's just a passion project like this. So number 2, consider making the monster smaller.
What if a ghost took the pen?
Let him finish.
I am finished.
Okay, hear me out. If the antagonist is small, how can you fight it? Also, it wouldn't take much, if any, VFX work to make it small like an insect that you can't shoot. So there would need to be some adjustments to the story, but I think it would be easy to address and would add an element of tension because you're afraid of what you don't see rather than what you do see. So for me, I would write that action scene more like a cat and mouse game where they are running and hiding. The tension is built for a longer period of time because when the fight happens, the tension is broken almost immediately. So in addition to my thoughts on location and monster, you could have the two men retreat to a bus trying to close the door prior to the bugs getting in for even more tension. To keep that tension going, have the duration of their conversation occur in the bus. As they continue their exposition, you can interrupt their conversation to keep the audience attention by letting the bugs find a way into the bus through the AC vents or something like that. Then our hero would have to react to their counterattack, figuring out how to prevent them from coming in by shoving some material or something found in the bus. So once the threat is gone, they could finish the exposition with some interruptions of false alarms and such. So I learned this exposition technique from a book called Save the Cat, which is a fantastic book to own. The technique is called The Pope in the Pool. Link is in the description. If you purchase it at no additional cost to you, it really helps the channel. If you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe, and we will see you next time.